Different face, different name, different city, maybe, but your body already knows. You start speaking a little softer, laughing a little louder. You begin editing yourself, just slightly shaving off the edges that might make them leave. You're not falling in love. You're falling into position, and somewhere underneath the excitement, underneath the "this time it is different," there is a quiet signal your body has been sending you for years. I've been here before. You didn't fall in love. You fell into a mirror. Here is a question most people never think to ask. Why does heartbreak feel so familiar? Not familiar as in I've been hurt before. Familiar as in the shape of the pain is identical, the same silence, the same desperate overgiving, the same moment where you realize you've been auditioning for someone who was never going to cast you. You blame your taste, you blame the dating pool. You say, I just attract the wrong people, as if attraction were an accident. It is not. Carl Jung would tell you that deep inside your psyche there is a structure he called a complex, an autonomous knot of emotion, memory, and meaning that formed long before you ever downloaded a dating app. It has its own gravity, its own agenda, and it does not answer to your conscious mind. Your complex doesn't ask what you want, it recognizes what it knows. So the person who grew up with a father who was brilliant but cruel will feel a magnetic pull toward brilliance laced with cruelty. Not because pain is the goal, because familiarity is the psyche has fused love with that particular frequency of wound. The complex says, this is what love sounds like. Or the person who spent childhood managing a fragile parent will confuse emotional chaos with intimacy, because calm feels like abandonment. They don't fall for stable, they fall for urgent. And here is the part that makes it worse. Jung said projection doesn't land on blank surfaces. It needs a hook. Something real, something genuinely present in the other person. A sharpness, a distance, a particular way of withholding approval. The hook is real. What you hang on it is not. You take that small, real trait, and you drape your entire inner world over it. Your longing, your unmet needs, the parent who never quite saw you, the version of love you learned before you had words for it. And then you call it chemistry. The first collapse is this. The problem was never out there. The magnet is inside you. It always has been, but it goes deeper than a pattern. Jung proposed something far more unsettling, that every person carries deep in the unconscious, an inner image of the opposite, a figure shaped by archetype. By every fairy tale and every wound in men, he called this figure the anima. In women, the animus, think of it as the soul's blueprint for what it is missing. You don't walk around aware of this figure, but when you meet someone who resembles it, even loosely, even in fragments, something ignites, not in your mind, in your chest, in the part of you that doesn't reason, only recognizes. And that is what most people call love at first sight. Jung called it something else. He called it projection. He wrote, we naively suppose that people are as we imagine them to be. In romance, this naivete becomes total. You are not seeing the person in front of you. You are seeing a phantom, assembled from your deepest needs, your oldest wounds, your soul's hungry blueprint. And you have draped it over a living, breathing human being who never agreed to wear it. This is what I call mirror addiction. Not a diagnosis, a description. You are not addicted to them. You are addicted to the feeling of your own missing piece being reflected back at you, like Narcissus, staring into the water. You're falling in love with something that was always yours, wearing someone else's face. And this is why the early stage of love feels like coming home, because it is. You're not discovering someone new. You're reuniting with a part of yourself you long ago. Jung described this projection as a bridge, an agreeable and convenient bridge to the world. It makes life light. It makes love effortless. It makes the other person glow with a light that isn't theirs. But a bridge built on illusion has a structural problem. Reality, the real person, starts to show through. They are not your anima. They are not your animus. They are not the God you built. They are someone flawed, ordinary, and utterly themselves, and the light you projected onto them begins to flicker. When the bridge collapses, Jung said it becomes the greatest hindrance it is possible to imagine. Not because the person failed you, but because you now have to retrieve the projection, and that means facing the emptiness it was designed to cover. The second collapse, the love was real, the person you were loving was not. You built a god out of a hook, and now the hook is all that is left. If something in you just went quiet, stay here, that silence is not emptiness. It is the sound of seeing clearly, and clarity always hurts before it helps. Now, if you followed this far, there is a sentence forming in your mind. It sounds responsible, it sounds wise, it sounds like growth. It goes something like, then I need to heal myself before I get into another relationship. I need you to hear this. That sentence is a trap, not because the instinct is wrong, but because it contains a hidden assumption that healing is something you complete alone, in safety. And then you carry your shiny, repaired self into love like a gift. Jung didn't say that. What he said is far less comfortable. He said that the intimate relationship itself is the vessel, the alchemical container, where transformation happens. Your projections, your complexes, the parts of your soul you cannot see in a mirror. They only surface when another real person is close enough to activate them. You can meditate, you can journal, you can spend 3 years in therapy and understand your attachment style down to the letter. And some of that matters. But there are rooms inside you that only open when someone else is standing in the hallway. I'll heal first and love later isn't wisdom. It is withdrawal dressed in the language of self-care. It is the psyche finding a more sophisticated way to avoid the one thing that terrifies it, being truly seen by someone you haven't cast in a role. So what does it actually look like? To stay, not to stay in pain, not to endure, not to call suffering spiritual. If what you're facing is manipulation, contempt, repeated betrayal, or cruelty that wears your name down to nothing, that is not an alchemical container, that is a wreckage site, and leaving a wreckage site is not running. It is the most honest thing you can do. Staying doesn't mean staying with them, it means staying in reality. It means the bridge has collapsed, the phantom is gone, and in front of you stands a real person, unfinished, inconsistent, incapable of being your mirror. Every instinct you have is screaming at you to leave, to find someone new, to rebuild the bridge, to project again, to dream again. The third collapse. You don't need to heal before you love. You need to stop running from the one place where healing actually becomes possible, the place where illusion has already failed. There are 2 kinds of love. The first says, I need you to complete me. It is vivid and desperate and feels like fate. It is projection wearing the mask of destiny. The second says, I own my own incompleteness, and I still choose you. That is not passion. It is not fireworks. It is something rarer. It is what happens when you stop asking another person to carry the parts of your soul you refuse to face. When you take back the weight you hung on the hook and hold it yourself, the world gets less cinematic. The person beside you gets more real, and when you look at them, not the phantom, not the god, not the mirror, you may find that this ordinary, imperfect human is someone you choose, freely, without need. Jung wrote that wholeness is not the union of 2 people. It is the conscious union of the self, with all that has been projected into the other. When you no longer need someone to complete you, you can finally love them.